Stress isn't just wearing you down, it's running your life. Let's unlearn the patterns that are holding you hostage. This is Unlearning Stress with Mischelle. Have you ever had this moment where you realize that you're still functioning, right? But you don't really, trust yourself anymore. And what I'm talking about is not in this dramatic, I don't know what I'm doing kind of way, right? But more like this covert, subtle hesitancy. Or maybe you pause before you speak, or second guessing those things that used to come naturally to you. And you're still showing up. I'm not saying you're not showing up, but you're still doing the work, right? All that stuff is still happening, and you might even be killing it on paper. But underneath all of that, there is this one sneaky, quiet question. And so I want to ask you that today. Do I still know how to hear myself? Do I still know what I know? I mean, down here in your heart, do you know that saying, I know what I know? Do you still feel that? Or, in the middle of all that, we've got AI everywhere, right? And so many of us in so many ways have learned to start depending on that. It helps us write, it helps us plan, it answers for us, it helps us walk through the process, all those things, and they're good. And look, I'll be the first one to say that I use it. I appreciate it. I would almost say I love that I have that tool available for myself. And sometimes it absolutely helps me get out of what I was trying to say, get out what I was trying to say, making sure that you see how I'm stumbling and right now, but sometimes when I use AI and I tell it what I want to say, and then it spits it back at me and is so eloquent. And I'm like, oh, wow. And so that's what I'm talking about. And that's why we use it. But what I've learned the hard way was that when you rely on anything, a system, a screen, a structure, I mean, even me sometimes using teleprompters and all of those things, anything else that you're using to speak for you, to step in for you, instead of using you're doing these things to help you save time. But when you do that, you are slowly outsourcing your clarity. So, what am I talking about? What I'm saying is, after a while, you don't just stop trusting your words, you stop trusting your knowing. So, today, what I want to talk about is how to use AI. There's a right way and there's a better way. And we're talking about how to reconnect with your voice, making sure that it's your voice that's coming forth in the world that keeps offering to speak for you. And I don't want you to let it speak for you anymore. And I remember my mom telling me when I was a little girl, right? She would say, girl, you got a voice, speak up. What she was saying is, if I wanted something, if I wanted to do something, stop relying on other people to do it for me. Stop relying on other things to do it for me, but speak up. Use your voice. And listen, we were never, ever, ever meant to be replaced by some prompt. And prompts are good. I use them, but we weren't made to be replaced by them. You were meant to lead from presence, from being here, from being in other people's face. So let's talk about what happens when you drift from that type of leading, from all in leading, and how to find your way back. How do we find our way back? How do we stop depending so heavily on AI or any other tool that we have? And again, AI is great. So it's not like you just wake up one day and all of a sudden you say, I don't trust myself anymore. And we talked about that in the beginning. It doesn't come in loud. It doesn't just slap you in the face, not at all. And no, I didn't mean to slap you in the face. But what I'm saying is, it comes in gradual, it sneaks in. It's the moment when your words don't feel quite right. Something's a little off. Something doesn't sound like you. It's the moment when you open a tab and you hope that something or someone can say it better for you and say it for you, and you don't even want to talk anymore. You don't even want to go to that anymore because you're not even sure what to say or if you have the right words. It's letting AI write everything for you. It's that moment that you start asking everyone else before you even ask yourself, because you've started doubting yourself, not because you're lost, but because you've gotten so used to reaching outside before reaching inside. And that's what I'm asking you to do. And here's where it really hit me. Okay. Sometimes I would talk to AI, and yeah, I talk to it. Look, it's easier to talk to it, talking to the microphone and stuff, and your words come out and they're more fluent and they're more you, instead of sitting there typing. And because then when you're typing, you start thinking about what you were getting ready to say. And so I would talk to AI, and it would take what I was trying to say, and it would give it back to me with polish. I mean, it was eloquent. I mean, it shined. It was on point. And so I started to thinking, well, maybe that's what I meant to say. You forget to listen to your own voice. Maybe that's how it should sound. Or you would even think, maybe I'm not as clear as I thought I was. Maybe I need to say it this way so other people will understand it. Maybe it's kind of like using Grammarly, right? And it wants to change your words. And you think, or I do, nah, I'm saying exactly what I wanted to say. Thank you, but no thank you. And that's what I'm talking about. And listen, I'm someone who's used to knowing, used to solving, used to showing up. So when that drift started, that soft erosion of voice, of certainty, of clarity, I didn't notice it right away. I just thought I was getting better. And who doesn't want to get better? But what I did start noticing was seeing my own phrasing in someone else's post. So, what am I talking about? So, I was interviewing people for my podcast, and one of the people that were trying to be one of my guests on my podcast gave me their bio, and they were talking about their business. And I started reading their bio and what they felt, hold on, what they thought. And so, what happened? Give me a minute. Thank you. So, what happened was I started seeing phrases that I was using. And as I went down further in their information, it was like, I say that, I do that. And so I called that person, or actually, I text them. And we got on a call. So I did talk to her. And I said, did you use AI to write that? And she said, she hesitated and she said, yeah. And I said, it's very, very noticeable that you used AI because you allowed it to use phrases that it's using for everybody else. And that's what I'm talking about when I said seeing my phrasing in someone else's post, scrolling past words that felt just like mine, but I didn't write them. So then you start questioning, is that what I really meant to say? Or is that me? Or did I let it create a version of me that it could use for everybody else? It's like feeling like I didn't have anything unique to say anymore because it's already said and someone else said it. So why should I say it? Because they've already heard it from someone else. That's when I knew that I had to do something different. I had to shift the way I was using AI because when AI starts sounding more like you than you do, or you like you wish you did, you stop filtering it through your own discernment. You stop looking for your voice in there. You stop saying what you really wanted to say and you let it take over because it's smarter and it knows more, right? Wrong. You started accepting everything that it says is truth because it was so helpful and it made it easier, not because it's honest, because is it really what you want it to say? That's what I call the drift. That's what I'm talking about. You're still present, but you're not plugged in. You're still showing up, yeah, but not from a place of alignment. You still need leading, or you're still leading, but not with clarity, not with your clarity, not with your conviction, not with your weight, not with you. And that, my friend, is what I call leaking. It's so, and the hardest part of that was maybe no one else would notice, but you will. Just like I notice it in someone else's writing. You think it's saying something different for you? Remember, it's a learning device. And as it learns you, it learns others. Here's what really turned the light on for me. And I want you to understand this. I was social surfing online, and this post actually caught my attention. It was this phrase, a piece of someone else's brand messaging, and it sounded real familiar, and I mean too familiar. It was my voice, or what I thought was my voice. You tell AI, talk in my voice, speak in my voice. And if you ever notice when it talks about your voice, it gives general, you're firm, you're strong, no nonsense. Well, how many people are like that? Yeah, right. So it's not speaking in your voice literally, because that's what AI does. It gathers all that information and it comes up with a composite that it feels is you. It reflects everyone back to every one of us. And you know what? When I saw that, something clicked, at least for me. And to be honest, it slapped me smack dab in the face because I thought I was so different, so original. I felt this mix of offense and clarity all at once. I was offended. It used me, but I was also clear on my next steps because I thought, wait a minute, that's mine. Not in a ownership type of way. They stole that from me kind of way. That's not what I'm talking about, but in a deeper, more intimate way, like I was stripped. I'd even go so deep as to say I felt I was raped. I forgot. I already knew that. You ever learn something um, from some scientific institute or some book you read about this new therapy or whatever, and you think, I've been doing that all along, but you didn't trust yourself that you knew that. I forgot what I already carried, and I carried that. That was when I faced the reality that AI is smart. Oh, yeah, it's smart, but I'm the source. It gets nothing from me than what I got. We are the source. I'm the one with the story, right? I'm the one with the weight. I'm the one with the lived experiences. I'm the one with the conviction. And AI can't convict like I can. I'm the one with the revelation. AI can only mirror my ideas. It can remix my words, but it can't birth what I know in my bones. And it sure can't teach what I've survived. That was the beginning of me snatching my voice back from AI, not by rejecting the tool. Oh no, it's a great tool. Don't get me wrong, but by reclaiming my position with that tool, by saying, you can support me. Absolutely. I need your help. I'll even name you, but you don't get to speak for me. I'll tell you what I want you to say, and I'll tell you how I want you to say it. And from that point on, I started asking better questions, not, can you write this for me? But does this sound like what I actually believe? You have to ask yourself those hard questions. Does it sound like you? Does it sound like your beliefs, your values, what's dear to you, what you're trying to say, what you're trying to give to others? And more than that, ask yourself, do I even need you for this? Or do I just need to slow down and think? Because sometimes clarity isn't missing, it's just being crowded out by all these things that are hitting our minds. So let me let me set this straight. Look, I don't want you to think I'm bashing AI. I use AI. I love AI, and you probably do too. I ain't mad at it. It helps me constantly. Sometimes it helps me think clearer. Sometimes it helps me organize my thoughts. And sometimes it gets the words out when my mind is moving faster than my mouth can catch up. You ever feel that way? When there's so much that you want to say and you can't get it out, and it'll take all that confusion and spit back to you what it is that, and you're like, yeah, with a tweet. Yeah, you're close. But I had to draw that line in the sand for myself, and maybe you will too. I don't use AI to replace my voice, not at all. I use it to reflect what I already know. There's a big difference, a big difference. Because if I ever start depending on it to know what I believe, or decide what I'm trying to say, or confirm my worth because it sounds eloquent enough to impress somebody, then I've crossed that line. Here's how I think of it: AI can sort my thoughts, but it can't give me conviction. AI can format what I've learned, but it can't form what I lived. It can help, but it can't hear God for me. It can't lead for me. It can't sit with me in silence and remind me what's true when everything else is screaming, hurry up! Not at all. That's where stillness comes in, and that's where prayer comes in, and that's where presence does when productivity never could. Productivity cannot replace your presence. Because I've learned something about myself, that sometimes I reach for AI when I really need to pause. It's a quick, easy fix. That's what it is. Sometimes I start a prompt when I should be starting a prayer. And sometimes I want a polished paragraph, but what I need is raw, unfinished thought that I sit with until it speaks. That's the difference. AI has its place, but I have to know mine too. AI is not teaching what I teach, how I teach, or experiencing what I've experienced. That's me. That's you. And it can only be delivered in my voice by me. And every time I remember that, I reclaim the one thing I can't afford to lose. And that's my clarity. So let me share with you what I've had to learn the hard way. Sometimes I open AI because I need support, but because I don't want to deal with my pause is also sometimes that reason. I don't want to feel how tired I am, or I don't want to wrestle with questions that I don't have the answer to yet. AI, I tell you. Yeah, right. I don't want to sit in silence, in that silence that might ask more of me than I really feel ready to give. And so it's instead, I perform clarity. I outsource my presence. I get polished, not anchored. I asked AI what to do. And if you're nodding right now, if you understand what I'm talking about, I mean, somewhere deep in your gut, you've been there, you felt that, then I know that I'm talking to you. It's that quiet pressure to keep being excellent. We all want that. Even when what's excellent right now for you and for me is to actually rest. Sometimes excellence is stepping back and resting. Look, excellence doesn't mean push harder. It means this is the best that I can give today. And it honors both my calling and my capacity. That's excellence, is doing everything that you can do in your capacity. And some days that's high energy and high output. And I love those days. And others, it's sitting in stillness, right? And letting that clarity rise without forcing it to perform. You don't need another formula. You need freedom to be honest. And when you're honest, that's where the clarity is. That's where your voice comes back. That's where you start leading from peace, not pressure. You don't need another tool to find your voice. You need time to re engage it. And that re engagement, it can look like closing the laptop when you're at 80%. You don't have to hit 100. It can look like not knowing what to say and saying just that. I don't know what to say right now. Sometimes just sitting there in that. It can look like turning off every voice but God's and sitting in a room until yours rises up again, your voice. because clarity isn't something that you chase, it's something that you recover. And when you stop running, I love this, it catches up with you. So if today feels foggy for you, if you're tempted to default to speed or polish or something that sounds like you but isn't quite you, just ask yourself, "Hmm, is this me? Is this real? How about, is this honest?" And if it's not, you don't have to throw it away. You just don't have to speak it yet. Your voice is sacred. It's strong even when it's quiet. And it deserves to be heard by you first. So take your time. I'm not rushing you. The world isn't going anywhere. And the wisdom that you carry, it's still there, waiting. Look, if you felt this tugging at you, if you've been feeling like your voice has somehow been a little quieter than usual, like your clarity's been a little harder to reach, you start second guessing yourself or questioning yourself, then I want to invite you to my free workshop, April 17th. It's called Stress Isn't the Problem, it's the symptom. And I'll be teaching what's really underneath all that pressure that we seem to walk into every day, and how to come back, re-engage with yourself. And look, you see how excited it makes me just thinking about it? Because I know what it can do for you. And so what I want to do is I'm going to put the link in the show notes. And I'm also going to, let me go ahead and pull this up. I want to put the QR code right there on the screen. Just take your phone out and go ahead and use that, or take a scan of that QR code. I just want to see you there, because I know what this will do for you. You know, I'd love to have you. And so until next time, take care. Bye-bye. You don't have to live like this. The patterns can be unlearned. The peace is possible. And I'm here when you're ready.